All right, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, and fishing accomplices, good morning and welcome back to fishing. So it's been a little while since I've posted a video, not because of lack of trying. I have been fishing, but I'm at a point where, again, if I go fishing and I don't think it's really anything amazing, I'm not going to make a video of it because it's a very time-consuming process, as some of you might know. And again, like, not to say there haven't been some good sessions, but nothing quite to, you know, just feel like I'd be doing the same thing again and again, particularly considering the places I've been fishing and the limits that have been placed upon me. It's been very windy the last month, and for that reason, a lot of the places I would have liked to have fished, I've kind of been off limits to fish them the way that I like to fish them at the very least. So today is the opposite. Got beautiful conditions, and finally things not just line up with the weather, but also more importantly my work schedule. Yeah, it's a weekday and I'm off from work, and I figured it's time to get on the sound in a proper session. I have fished the Long Island Sound a couple times this season, not too many, and they weren't great, and for that reason you haven't seen them. But if you are watching this one, it is going to be the exception. There's definitely fish around. I'm sure you all have heard sand eel bite is supposed to be really turning on, and while it's been cool the last month, we've had some really warm weather the last couple of days, and it's going to continue. So I'm hoping that is just what we need to get on some good action today. Really looking for fluke, though. As you can tell, it's sunrise, so I will keep my eyes peeled for bass and blues or anything else that might be, you know, bigger game. But as soon as that sun's high in the sky, it's probably really just a fluke game. I think more than anything, we'll probably be looking more in shallower water today, but if we get what we're looking for, or perhaps don't get what we're looking for, we might try a little deeper just to explore. So that's what I got planned for you, and thank you for staying tuned, because it's time to get some fishing accomplished. Yeah, definitely got some options today. Right now, just keeping our eyes peeled though, see if there's any signs of life. Again, from what I've heard, I've never really gotten into this fluke bite. Well, I have, but not a ton. It's really a shallow game. But more than anything, I also want to see if there's any bass or blues working the surface. So it's calm enough that if they are here, we can see them. So keeping our eyes peeled. All right, we're getting close to like the first area I'd like to try out. We're gonna go very, you know, cast a wide net. Let's fish a gulp grub on a 1/4 ounce jig, JYG. I think I can get away pretty light here, especially if we fish shallow. So see what kind of reaction we get to this. We're not gonna hang around any spot for too long unless we have reason to stay. At least that's the plan. But this area I think could be a good starting point unless we see any signs of visible life on the surface, which really I'm not yet at least. What do we have here, folks? Some bunker. Anything under them is the question. I snagged a bunker. It's small. Not that small. Small bass, probably. Small bluefish. Small bluefish. Good eating size. Like to not ruin this lure. Yeah, he ruined it. Oh well, you win some, you lose some. Dang, he's got some bait in his mouth. Doesn't look like a sand eel. For whatever it's worth, looks like a little anchovy type thing. It's not a spearing. Let's see if we can try again. All right, let's see if there's anything other than baby bluefish here. I've got to find the bait again now. At least for this point, it's a bird chasing game. There's birds here. It looks like a bigger bait with some stuff under them. I'm hoping it's not just baby bluefish, but if that's what it is, that's what it is. Really, we're just pursuing any option at this, you know, first light bite opportunity. And if and when this dries up or becomes clear, it's just little baby bluefish, we're gonna just fully switch to bottom fishing. But let's explore this option while it's an option. All right, we found the birds. And there's fish. It's just, are these the fish we want? Don't want to get too close, but do want to get within casting range. Don't look like anything too big, really. It could just be more baby bluefish. Cocktails, if you will. Some of these, yeah, they look like they're small. And some of them do look like bass. This one's kind of mangled. That's a bass. That's a bass. Not a bad one. It's a little better than that last one. Is that a bluefish? No, it's a bass. It's a bass. Not bad. It's a slot at least, I want to say. Not a bad first bass for me for the season. A lot worse. And this will be a great time for me to spotlight my new measuring board. Decided to upgrade after a lot of janky measurements, as I'm sure you've noticed on the channel if you've been watching. Decided to get something that could actually measure half the fish I catch, so this fish is actually right on the slot, 31 inches. I won't measure any more of these unless they're significantly larger, but if there's fish like that in the school, it's a good sign. Fins are up, but we'll let him hitch a ride until he's good. His fins are up, so it's good. All right, well, we're 2 species down already, so that's a good start. See if we can find something a little bigger. Little guy. Not that little. I don't think as big as the last one. Yeah, he's waking up. Easy does it. That one's probably in the lower end of the slot scale, but slot nonetheless. That's good. All right, no monsters, but this is fun on this tackle, so we're certainly gonna make the most of this while it lasts. So I don't think it's gonna be too long. That did not take long. Yeah, they're getting smaller, which isn't the greatest thing, but having fun, having a good time. Well, bass. He took it deep. Jeez. Easy, easy. That feels a little better. Go a little heavier with the weight because we're in deep water right now, and these fish are all over the water column. And I'm hoping maybe some larger ones are deeper. He's on there. This one's definitely better than the last couple. Oh yeah. Another like upper slot. That one's definitely legal. Yeah, mid slot. There are a lot of bass, but some of them are definitely on the pickier side. Let's throw a little procurement Hayden on this split tail smasher and see if it makes any kind of difference. Ah, nuts. This one's better. This one's definitely better. This one's a little further away from the school. This one's definitely better. I'm not saying it's huge, but unless he's hooked funny, this one feels like it's the first one that might be over 31 inches. I know I'm fishing with a very light setup, but as you can tell, a lot of these fish are not particularly big, so adequate. But this one definitely feels like it's a different class of fish, and it was on the outside of the main school too, so certainly is potential. Barely budge this thing. Jeez, I think we got a real one here, folks. I think we got a real one. Have not even seen any color on this fish. Come on. Come on. Just don't be tail hooked, that's all I'm asking. Turn, 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 turn. Oh my gosh, that is a monster. Jeez Louise. That's a 40+ inch fish. Oh my gosh. 40 inch plus. Might even be. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is a big boy. That is a very healthy guy. That is probably the biggest bass I've ever caught if I get him. Oh my gosh. Maybe not, I don't know. Oh, he is so barely hooked. Oh. Cow. My goodness. If I was ever happy that I got an upgraded measurer, this is it. Let's not flip the kayak. On a 6-pound test 6-pound test braid rather, leader, 15-pound. It's about 41 and a half. You see right there, almost touching 41 and a half. Long slide. Alright, we gotta revive this fish. All right, that was a long fight, and again, like battling. Oh, he's ready. Jeez. All right, well, I had him for about 30 seconds before that, so yeah, don't like to fight fish that long. Obviously, I'm fishing lighter tackle, but yeah, that fish was ready to go, so we're gonna try and get back on this fish. 41 and a half, probably neighborhood of close to 30 pounds. Whew. All right, let's do it again. These fish are definitely not thick like they were before. I'm seeing some blow-ups on bait. Not sure these are bass, but we'll give it an honest effort. Could be a baby bluefish or something. We're still too deep to, you know, for this to be a topwater fluke bite. As ridiculous as that might sound, but all right, yeah, there's fish here. See if we can pull one or two more before we have to completely switch gears. That's not what we want. That's no bueno. If that happens again, we're just switching to Fluke. Alright, I can keep looking for these fish, you know, seeing if there's bass around, but I think most of what I'm going to encounter is small bluefish. If they're big bluefish, I'd be happy to keep trying, but for these little rats, you know, like I don't want to just burn through all my plastic, so we're gonna go shallower, try some jigging, see if we can find some fluke, predominantly on bait, and see what we can do. I'm going to go back to what I originally proposed: 3/8 ounce jig head, JYG, 4-inch gulp, and see what that does for us. Try right here to start. I'm gonna move around a lot. That did not take long. Got a fluke. It's a sea robin. I'll add to the list. The list of fish. But hopefully where there's smoke, there's fire. This is a stupid amount of fish. We don't appear to have much of a drift right now, and unlike the last couple sessions where there was a lot of wind, we don't have wind right now. So I'm gonna throw the jerk shot and cast it, because there's definitely fish here. Just this might be the tricky part of the day. That I think's a fluke. Yeah, it's a fluke. Not bad. Not a bad start. Not great, but not far and away worse than what we were getting in the bay. And spitting up those sand eels or whatever they are. All right, well, no matter what happens at this point forward, this day's a winner, and you heard it. Finished my coffee, now on to our beverage of the day. The brand, I was making sure to save this for our first one of the year. Sound, as in Long Island Sound. Sparkling water with hibiscus tea. Blueberry specifically. Yeah, not terrible. Unlike the last tea that I had, I think in the last video when we were in Brooklyn, this one's much more of a seltzer than a tea, but it's not overwhelmingly tea. It's just like a nice hint. Additionally, it does have bubbles, which is very nice. So yeah, Sound Blueberry Hibiscus Tea. I don't know if it's the fishing talking or, you know, the seltzer, but I'm feeling very good about this. I'll give this a 9.1, just because it checks so many boxes. And I'm hoping as we continue, we check a lot of boxes for you and for me in terms of fluke, maybe some more bass, bluefish, potentially even porgies. Just really hoping to get some keepers, something to fill the bag with, because we are eating fish tomorrow one way or another, and it'd be nice to have some fresh fish rather than frozen stuff. So yeah, we're getting bit right now, and we're on, and it's a fluke, so that's good. It's not one going in the cooler bag, but yeah, can't be upset about that. Probably have to weed through a lot of these today. Actually, this one doesn't feel terrible. Yeah. All right, seltzer review and a fluke. Let's keep it going. There are just fish everywhere. Like, they're blowing up over there, but I think they're still just bluefish. This is going to be the problem today. Dealing with this many sea robins and so many short fluke. But it's slack tide right now, so we're just happy to be having action, to be honest. Let's try some of this mangled Elias shad stuff. Just got snapped off by a bluefish, so while they're around as thick as they are, I do want to try and downplay my better stuff. All right, small bait. We're gonna try and match the hatch. Practically freshwater presentation. Fish this Ned style jig head. And we got these little power smelts or whatever like this. This is definitely matching the hatch. Question is, can I really hold bottom, and will I find what I'm looking for? That's a fluke. He liked that little minnow. About 27 feet down. I don't know what this is. Bluefish. Yeah, this is why I'm not going fancy right now. I don't want to lose a bunch of good plastic. So this is a sand eel. We are certainly matching the hatch right now. That's a fluke. No, it's a blue. Oh, that's a fluke. Better fluke. Oh no, I don't know what that is. I think it's a bass, and this is bad news on this jig. That's bad news. This is not a jig to fish, catch a fish like this. This is not going to end well. if we land this fish, I don't know what we got. I'm guessing a bass, but I thought most of them were gone by now. Yeah. Not bad. That hook held its own. It's a slaughter. Another bass. Jeez. That's a good one too. Well, I guess it's better than slack tide nothing. Another slaughter. I am very impressed with these jig heads. If I land this fish, I mean, again, this isn't a giant, but this is what I used to catch smallmouth bass and trout, like small stream trout. I will be very impressed with this jig head if we land this fish. Another slotty. Yeah, that's probably in about 31, 28, 29, 30. See ya. This jig head right here, I am very impressed. I forget the exact brand, but it's used for Ned jigs. I'll leave a link in the description, but yeah, I am, you know, this is not what I want them for, to catch stripers, but if they're holding up, you know, obviously these aren't like giant fish, but if they can hold that, they can hold a fluke. So link in the description. Definitely check them out if you do lighter tackle stuff, because they are light enough. You know, they make smaller versions of this that, you know, you can catch much smaller fish with, and fish very light tackle. But let's see if we can get some proper fluke on this and not run a seagull over. Back at it. I think we're starting to get a little bit of a drift, some tidal movement, hopefully. All right, made a little bit of a move, not much tide moving, and while we're getting action, it wasn't really what we were hoping to encounter, even if there were some nice bass in the mix. So let's see what we can do over here. A bit more structure. I'm not expecting maybe a ton of action, but maybe there'll be some more isolated large fish here if we're lucky. All right, too early in the season, but first one I've gotten this year. Yeah, so a lot of this fluke fishing that I'm doing here is in very shallow water. We're talking anywhere from like 8 to no more than really 13 or 14 feet. There were a few times where I tried to go a little bit deeper, but as I did, I would encounter less fluke and more sea robins or other fish. But that being said, I really kind of dialed in a smaller profile bite. I did try messing around with gulp and some other soft plastics, but the problem was a lot of the bites I were getting, they would just nip at the tails and not take the hook and ruin the gulp or whatever I was using. So for that reason, I did kind of zero in on fishing the smallest stuff possible. And I'm really cutting a lot of this footage out because it's very repetitive. It's a lot of small fish. And honestly, I just don't want this video to be any longer than it has to be. But it was a lot of fun, just very hard to find any real quality. Not to mention, you might not be able to tell, but there were quite a few other vessels out here fishing. So it got a little crowded once the day got going. So this next clip I want to just show unedited for the most part, just to get an idea of how many fish there were around. This is all just one, take until like the end where I just cut it for reasons that you'll soon see. This is just one hit right after another, all fluke. The only problem is, again, none of them are terribly big. But again, you could not go anywhere within this area and not encounter fish. Easy. Simmer down now. That might be a little better. Maybe. Probably not. Why not? Let's better safe than sorry, right? Oh God. I think actually, you know what? I think that might actually do it. I don't think so, but let's find out. 18. Getting better though. What do we got here? Sea robin. Oh wow, weak fish. We really are catching it all today. Catching everything. I think that's another weak fish. Yep. Weak fish. It's all here. Let's go reset that drift. All right, so we've hit up that shallower stuff, working the shallow water fluke sand eel bite for a few hours. and there's no shortage of fish, and they're still there, but there's just so many sea robins and so many shorts, and I just want to mix it up. It's just getting a little repetitive, so I'm going to try some deeper stuff. This tends to work well later in the year, but I've never really tried it here this time of year, so we'll see what happens. There's some good structure. It's definitely deeper. It's going to be colder, so I'm not expecting as much action, but maybe it'll be some better quality as opposed to quantity. And it's not like that stuff in the shallows is going anywhere anytime soon, so let's go check this out and hopefully get something half decent. There's something. Bet it's a sea robin. Maybe not. Oh, is that our first porgy of the year? All right, I think we did it. Porgy, porgy, sea bass, weakfish, fluke, bluefish, striped bass. Obviously not the best examples of each of them, but they're all there. Another weakfish. The weeks are around. That's a sea bass. That's a sea bass. One that I'm going to have to throw back, unfortunately. Oh, man. You'll be nowhere to be found in June, I know that. Might actually not even be legal, but it's a nice fish. Pretty fish. Such cool colors. Yeah, so after fishing deep, I did try and make my way back shallow, just give it one more go for the fluke in the shallows. But by this point, the tide had pretty much ended, movement that is, and it was pretty much bottomed out. Still a lot of people there, and with that tide slowed down, really all I was getting was mainly sea robins, the few very small fluke mixed in. So I did decide to try and explore a little bit in some other areas that I thought would be good, but really I didn't get anything of any real quality. All right, I'm afraid that's gonna have to do it for today. We really gave it our all for the most part. Didn't go too, didn't go too crazy in terms of, planning this thing out, but it was really good to get out in the water and fish some new water for the season. Yeah, those fluke, I was really hoping I'd be able to pull at least one legal fish out of those school, and I probably could have if I covered a bit more ground, but it was a bit tricky. There was a pretty large crowd that I wanted to try and give adequate space, so that definitely ate into that. But we got a lot of fish, make no mistake. I mean, probably more fluke in one session than any other session I've done this year so far, but just the quality was lacking. But yeah, they're really keyed in on that small bait. No surprise, I mean, everyone's saying it. And I'm happy that I was able to kind of, mix things up with the power minnows and the Elias shads and even a little bit of gulp here and there. But keeping it small definitely did help. It felt like a lot of these fish were just going to nip at the tail if I didn't, do that. And again, a lot of them are tiny, so it is what it is. But got a lot of good variety, and those bass in the morning definitely, made the day. So yeah, overall, can't complain in that respect. Beautiful day in the water, a little warm, but at least the wind wasn't there. So hopefully some more stuff coming at you soon, and until then, stay tuned. Goodbye from fishing.